This is Papa Smurf. You're listening to Our Lifestyle, the podcast, with ODB and the Mayor.
Yo, this is Rob Margie, and you're listening to Our Lifestyle podcast.
Hey, it's ODB. We're getting ready to get into this episode of Our Lifestyle Podcast, your mini trucking headquarters. However, we got to start with a huge shout out to Scrapin' the Coast. They've been with us since the beginning. Scrapin' the Coast is, as you can see on the screen here, the best show on the entire Gulf Coast. This is a Mini Truck Hall of Fame inducted event, and it's the 22nd annual this year in 2024. June 21st through the 23rd, they're in Biloxi, Mississippi. This is a destination event. There's plenty of places to eat, tons of stuff to do with the family. And don't forget, the beach is just right across the way there. You can walk across the street, put your feet in the sand, check out the water. So much to do at this amazing event, Scrapin' with an IN, the coast. Come join us out there this year, OLP, and so many amazing vendors. You've got the AC air-conditioned inside, where you'll get to see some of the most awesome vehicles in the world, but also you got an entire show field that is out there on the Gulf Coast. So think about and plan now for Scrapin' the Coast 2024. More information to come. I am ODB, and I approve this message. Now, let's jump into the episode. Yo, it's ODB from Our Lifestyle Podcast, your Mini Truckin' headquarters. Thank you so much for coming back. This is episode 351. And for those that aren't aware, we now do full video episodes, for the most part, via our YouTube channel. So I would ask, consume the content. If you're on the road or you're working or however you're listening, definitely finish via that method. If it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Amazon Music, we're pretty much on all the platforms. I will tell you, I did hear that Google Podcasts is going away, but I think they're just going to integrate that into YouTube, which makes sense. Speaking of YouTube, again, however you're consuming the content, make sure you jump over and stream it as well via our YouTube channel. Let it play through the end. It definitely helps us out. The channel continues to grow. Of course, not growing at a crazy pace, but we're doing some big things, so certainly appreciate all the support. Now, I am going to try to call Miggity Mike The Mayor just in a short bit. He's out gallivanting, as you would expect from the Gallivanter. Hopefully he's working on his debut album. We will have to see, okay? I'm over here trying to bang out some beats for him, and this shit ain't free. You know what I'm saying, Mike? The shit ain't free. But on this episode, again, we can't thank you enough for coming back if you're watching us via YouTube. Thank you. If you're listening, we appreciate it. The episode overview, this episode is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to touch base with, hopefully, a guy goes by the name, many of you probably know him, Aaron Hunt. Aaron Hunt is part of Art of Noize, and their event is going down this weekend, February 10th, which is called Bring The Noize. Of course, that famous long-running club, Art of Noize, Noize, really a mainstay in our mini truck scene. I'm going to try to link up with him this evening and do some audio in reference to that event. I was talking to Joey Whitby, also known as Joey Whitby, a.k.a. Hard Taco, and he reminded me, hey, we're going to a show this weekend. I was like, what show is that? And when he reminded me, I think they had a little bit of a hiatus. We'll talk to Aaron about that. But I said, certainly, hey, man, let's link up with the homies from the West and do some audio. Let's talk about it. Let's highlight them. So we will do that. Now, what I am going to do throughout these interviews, some of you have seen this already, is I really do plan to share, my screen when I can, and I'll kind of show you guys some of the things that I'm talking about. Of course, this is going to be a little bit easier, and I'll definitely be doing it during interviews. For instance, when I call Sean, I'll be showing some of the things visually that Sean's talking about, so his Instagram, some of the bikes for sale and whatnot. But this right here, if I just went on Facebook, good old Bookface, and I typed in Art of Noize, Noize, I scrolled down through a few posts, And of course, C10 Vatos posted up this Saturday 210 Victory Lanes, and it's in Glendale, Arizona. So I wanted to share that with you guys. So again, we'll talk about that. But as I hinted, Sean from RAD BMX Builds is back. And this is great because we're doing video content now. I really feel like we can revisit some of the guests. It gives a totally different experience, even for me. I know a ton of other podcasts, including podcasts in our scene, by the way, have done a great job in really breaking through or starting out, like The Drop, for instance. They started straight out of the gate with video. Now, Brian and Frank, they're no strangers to video, right? You got Grinder TV and you got Custom Life. These guys have been doing this stuff a long time. It took me a little while to get to it because I started with audio way back 8.5 years ago, going on 9 years, and it was kind of like, hey, I love doing that piece of it, but I have found the last few weeks and months testing and trying to figure out what I'm going to do that I really do enjoy this experience a little bit better. So it's making things a little bit more streamlined for me. Still work, but what do they say? If you love doing what you do, it's not work? I don't know. Something like that. But so, again, we're going to have Aaron Hunt from Art of Noize, and we'll also have Sean from RAD BMX Builds. Now, I know we had Sean on before. Again, it'll be a different experience. We'll hit upon some different things. We'll talk a little bit about social media. We'll hit upon some of the bike building, some of the things that he's had going on in his life. I met him a year and a half ago, September 2021. So we'll talk about everything he's been doing since then. The episode overview is brought to you by our family at Hammered Weekend Wear. So I tell you time and time again, HAMMERD weekendwear.com. I do believe their site is down at this exact moment. Believe it or not, I think I tried it right before I started, and it could not be found. So don't typically see that, but HAMMERD weekendwear.com. Show them some love. They've been with us a long time, and of course, the team is great there. They put out 2 new releases every 60 days. So they had that t-shirt subscription option that if you bought into that during the open enrollment, that allows for you to automatically enroll with a hoodie and things such as that. But hit up their website, show them some love. Again, these guys have been with us a long time. Now, I do have some breaking news, and this is with very heavy hearts that there's probably, I'm sure, a lot of people out there that are country music fans. And Toby Keith, he passed away either today, which is the time of this recording is February 6th, 2024, or it might have been late yesterday. But I was on the way in to work on a normal Tuesday and getting to about the exit where I exit off. I got about a 45-minute drive, mostly highway, about 30 minutes of that is highway. And I received a breaking news alert on my phone this morning that Toby Keith had passed away. Now, the one thing I don't follow, I'm not, this is no diss to country music. My dad loved it. My mom loves it. Everybody seemingly loves country music. I'm not a huge country music fan, but certainly I understand the impact that it has. And, there's the old school country music. There's the new school type stuff. And there are a lot of good songs out there, some that I consider country that are definitely in playlists. But Toby Keith, I don't know a lot about him. I do know some of his music. I know he was beloved. A lot of people said, hey, this guy's a true patriot. This guy, is all about the troops. And his music really resonated with a lot of people. So I want to say rest in peace. I believe he was 62 years young, very young age. And I do believe, if I recall correctly, on a breaking news story I heard this morning, something like NPR or something I was listening to, and I believe it said that he had announced 3 years ago, or in 2022-ish, that he had cancer. So I think it was stomach cancer, and rest in peace. Certainly don't want to see anybody lost, if at all possible, but we know cancer is just not a good thing. So rest in peace. Now, I'm just seeing if Miggity Mike The Mayor is checking in, but of course he's running late. He's gallivanting, and again, hopefully he's working on his album. Now, the general updates, I was going to ask Miggity Mike The Mayor about this, and maybe I will when I call him, if I can even get him on the phone. I know he, as well as a lot of enthusiasts, mini truckers, if you will, in the state of Florida, they made the trek to Dragon the Alley. We mentioned Dragon the Alley recently. Shout out to Christian and all of the Aftermath kinfolk that put that event together. And it's been a long-running event. Rest in peace, Ernie Macias came out years ago. I remember slapping hands with him. I've been to a handful of them. I went last year, which was about 365 days ago. This year I could not make it. I'm buckling down, trying to get ready for Lone Star Throwdown. I'm doing better, I think, with trying not to put as much pressure on myself. With these different shows, Mike's got to come up with the merchandise in his truck. We've got to figure out either a rental car or do we take our vehicle. Mike just got a ton of maintenance done on his vehicle, and I think that's actually where he is right now. He's working on his full-size truck, and I'm trying to get some more maintenance done on my truck just to do everything I can to try to control that situation going out there. Of course, you can't control everything, but I will be changing the fuel filter. I've done a bunch of stuff on my wife's car that I had to do this past weekend. So I'm really balancing this list, and I just wasn't able to make Dragon the Alley. So hate that I couldn't be there, but it looked like from the photos I saw, everybody had a great time. And we'll try to get a couple words from Mike on that a little bit later. The general updates is brought to you by our family at Lone Star Throwdown. Hopefully soon we'll hear from Lonnie and Radar about LST. I would encourage you go to LoneStarThrowdown.com if you want to figure out accommodations. I'm sure a lot of hotels in or around that area are sold out. But follow me. The greater city, this is a huge place, okay? I'm sure you can get a place to stay or an Airbnb. Come on out. In just a few weeks from the time of this recording, we'll be in Conroe, Texas. There's so much to do. I think Extensive normally does their open house. We'll have to confirm if that's going to happen again. Of course, you've got an In-N-Out burger that you can go to. And just a lot to do at the event. I tell you, for the price of a band, for an armband to get in, it's truly worth it. I don't think there's a better value in our scene in terms of that band, because if you've got 2,000 vehicles plus the support vehicles, give or take here and there, tons of vendors, you can save some money, including OLP. We'll be there with a few show specials going down, but check out the vendors, show some love. Of course, go get your LST merch. That stuff sells like hotcakes. One public service announcement that I'll make is this. Please, Lonnie mentioned this, okay? And when we get him on, as well as Radar, hopefully on our next episode, we'll talk about a few of these things. Facebook is running rampant with scammers, okay? We saw this with Eastbound Get Down. There were people that'll they'll set up this fake profile, John Smith, or just some American name, and they'll say, click this link for the telecast, click this link to buy armbands, click this link to, I'll sell you a ticket, a sold-out ticket. Be very wary, okay? None of these shows have the staff to literally go out and solicit to you on Facebook, okay? The same goes for, don't get me on this rant, the same goes for parts scammers, okay, that are scamming people through Instagram. They set up these fake accounts, they take all these screenshots, all these rare parts, phantom grills, bucket seats, all this stuff, and then they say, hey, cash at me, friends and family this, and this and that. I always encourage people to look at those links, but you got to be even more diligent. What we're seeing with Eastbound Get Down, and Lonnie, I think, posted this with some of LST, you're seeing where they're using an app I use called Bitly, and that allows you to paste in a link for your YouTube. It shortens the link, and then if you have a premium account, you can retitle that link. Even though it shortens it, you can make it look like anything else. You can make it look like, okay, it's a Bitly shortened link, but I'm going to make it look like LoneStarThrowdown.com, okay? So you're unsuspecting, and you see, oh, LST, wow, they're selling armbands ahead of time, and I can get one. Well, not so fast. If you click that link, it's going to take you to a rogue page a lot of times, okay? Not a good situation. So I talked to Mike a little bit about some of the changes that he may make next year with Eastbound, him and John and team. But certainly, I'm just throwing this public service announcement out there because I remember Lonnie posted it. Do your due diligence, and please, please, please don't get scammed. You work hard for your money. Don't let it go to somebody that's scamming from some other country. Typically, and I mean that with all respect, typically a lot of these folks don't even have an account that's based in the U.S. And again, Facebook, Instagram, they don't seem to really care. So again, back to my point, the general updates brought to you by our family at Lone Star Throwdown. We'll be out there in just a couple of weeks. So next, I'm going to hit on the scene updates, which I recently announced is going to also encompass kind of some of the show updates. And the reason for that, again, you're going to see in 2024, I'm going to continue to streamline what we're doing here, really just to kind of mix it up. I think, it's not that it's getting stagnant, but it's kind of the same stuff every week, or every other week, bi-weekly, if you will. So you're going to see, again, the video portion is going to be a big change for us that we're going through, but we'll also try to streamline stuff. Not everybody wants to listen to a 2-hour podcast. And then you'll have other kinfolk like the big homies, Tim and Randy, of course, from NC Florida, that are going to say, yo, Jay, hit us with a 4-hour deal, right? Hit us with a back-to-back 2-hour deal to a 4-hour, right? So I totally get it. Everybody's got a little bit different situation, but I have a feeling that most of your favorite YouTube content creators and folks on social media, they're posting content that's a little shorter. These reels are getting to 6 and 7 seconds. We'll talk to Sean about that from RAD BMX Builds. YouTube videos, for the most part, are getting shorter. Now, I know some people like Vice Grip Garage, he'll do a 3-hour video. I guess his channel's just so big he can do that. I mean, I'd be very curious to see what his watch minutes are. Are people getting to that hour mark? But I could tell you the average YouTube channel, and I've talked to Brian at Grinder TV about this. I mean, even if you look at some of his show coverage videos, they're shorter than they have been in the past. Maybe not all of them, but I'll tell you it's all trying to kind of fold into this little bit more streamlined experience. So that's what you can expect, and hopefully that will be a good thing, because if I could scale back these episodes, sometimes I felt like in the past I'd put together an episode and it felt like I was doing like 4 episodes in one. I was calling these different people, and I'm editing all this together, and I have all this going on. I'm like, man, I love the product I'm producing, but I felt like if it was a TV show, I was putting 5 episodes into 1 week, and it's like, well, hold on. A lot of these TV shows are 10 episodes. If you watch Shorty's Dream Garage, it's 10 episodes, and it's like, bam, you can what's the word I'm looking for? You can binge watch them, and then you're like, dang, man, I want more. Wow, now I got to wait for a whole new season. But you got to remember, to put together a TV show, it's a lot of work. The podcast is a lot of work as well. So if I could scale these back, I might be able to go, boom, put out some shorter interviews, dare I say, every week. We'll have to see. But with that being said, the shows, again, I mentioned Art of Noize. Hopefully we'll talk just in a little bit about it. It's this weekend if you're in Arizona, Glendale area. There is a show in Clearwater this coming week. It is a benefit show, and it's at the OCC, I think it's OCC Cafe. Now, I went out there last year. I think Tony is the guy that does it. And there's a good mix of lifted rides, minis. I think Chuck was there last year with the Astro. I had the link in there. Of course, it ended up raining, and that was a little bit of a sour deal. I think it passed over kind of quick. I had to peel out of there, but that's going down this weekend, which is actually going to be the weekend before After Dark the Remix. So for those scoring at home, last week we had Dragon the Alley. Clearwater coming this weekend. The following weekend, which is the 17th, we're going to have Clearwater again for After Dark Remix, as I was mentioning. And then the weekend after that is going to be Lone Star in Texas. The weekend after that, Radwood, March 2nd. If you're on Instagram, many of you mini truckers are probably following at Radwood, R-A-D, Wood. And this is a traveling show, if you will. I've always wanted to go to one. They have them in all different kinds of places. They seem to have inroads and great relationships with people everywhere. I think the one they did in the Carolinas may have been at a race shop. And so I'm fortunate to say, hey, there's going to be one in Florida coming up again March 2nd. I want to go to it. It's at Amelia Island, definitely a ritzy area. And I think there's another event going on that weekend. So it's going to be cool. But I like what they're doing. These are short shows. I think it's like 9 to 12 or 9 to 1. It's like a chunk of the day. It's at a cool venue. You get to go experience it, and then you peel out of there. So more to come, and I'm looking forward to that one. The last two that I'll mention is Altered Metal and Orange Beach Invasion are both going to be March 22nd through the 24th, and then Southeast Mini Truckin' National is one of our key partners Huge shout out to Jason Bell. I know it's a huge undertaking to do mini nats, is kind of what we all know it as. But this technically is the 30th annual event. Now, this event technically started back in good old 1990, but as you can imagine, over the years, it has changed hands a couple times, and we will be proud to have Jason Bell on and probably a few episodes out to talk about some of the key things that you need to know. And I will tell you this, it is sold out. I get it that you can't get your vehicle in. And I know there's some people that are coming from California that got tickets. I think someone, Bobby Boucher, commented the other day and said, he knew some people that didn't get a ticket. And I think there's going to be a good mix of that. There's going to be awesome stuff that is not going to be able to get in, but it's going to be cruising the strip, and it's going to be parked out front. But that's the cool thing about mini nats. I would be willing to bring my car from far and wide just to have it in town. And I'm really looking forward to this event. I think it's going to be great. There's going to be a lot of cool trucks there. I think there's going to be some great photo ops if your truck is in there and you want to link up with some of the other awesome trucks out there. So we'll see you at Mini Nats, Maggie Valley, North Carolina, the 19th through the 21st of April. I want to thank Joey at Get Decked for the continued support, and I know this show season is really ramping up now. If you want to do skate decks for your brand or your show, hit up Joey Dilworth, just how it sounds. He's on Instagram, and I think I keep saying it wrong. It's Get Decked. Just type that in, Get Decked, and I think it's _VA, but I looked it up recently and I was saying it wrong. And since I'm doing video now, I can't use my phone since I use my phone for the video portion of this. So it's another way I'm getting off my phone a little bit. There you go. But certainly get with Joey Dilworth at Get Decked. You can also Facebook him through Messenger. I want to thank Jeff. We're still talking about the scene updates, and Jeff from Mini Garage was recently here in the Tampa Bay area with his coworker, Chewy. I was like, yo, that's a cool name. I love Chewy's, the restaurant here. Never heard of it. It's like, you got to go there. Love some Chewy's. Now, Jeff Rosenberger is from Mini Garage. So if you're following YouTube Mini Garage or Instagram Mini Garage, that's Jeff. And Jeff is with the G, right? We call him JZF. If you need Mazda parts or Datsun parts, he has a YouTube channel. We talked about that. You can hit me up through email, and I'll send you the link if you need it, or you can hit up Jeff Rosenberger, and he will help you with your Mazda or Datsun parts needs. He's constantly buying trucks, and he's really tied in and tapped into that. I got some parts I really needed for my 9.0 Mazda B2200, so tip of the cap to Jeff. And I mean that with all respect, because tip of the cap, he hooked me up with his Goonies hat on. So Jeff, of course, living up in Oregon, he went through one of the spots and said, yo, Jay, I've had this for a while. I keep meaning to bring it to a show, but I'm in your neck of the woods, dude. So here you go. And I was super stoked, and I appreciate the love from Chewy as well. Got a chance to pick him up in the 65 Lincoln. Took him to a local spot. They got a brewski, got some food. And then I took him down a cruise down Bayshore, which was the weekend before Gasparilla Invasion. If you've never heard of Gasparilla Invasion in Tampa, look it up. This was the 120th year, and it's just an awesome time, and I got a chance to show them the route down Bayshore. Of course, it was the calm before the storm because there was nobody out there on that famous Bayshore Boulevard that evening. Just really cool. So shout out to Jeff, shout out to Chewy. Thanks for coming through. The Scene Updates is brought to you by the kinfolk at Garage Gear Clothing. You can visit garagegearclothing.com if you want to buy merchandise. And, I keep thinking, why don't I show you guys this? Some of you are going to be like, damn, ODB, you're showing us everything. Well, not everything. Is go to garagegearclothing.com. Of course, you'll see here apparel and accessories for all the automotive enthusiasts. And this is the cool thing. They've got the Garage Girl tanks. They've got full-size trucks, a Cadillac, the Blazer, full size, the van, a ton of different stuff. And oh, by the way, they have a free YouTube channel. So certainly appreciate what the fine folks do over at Garage Gear Clothing. They do have some free shipping options. And if you're going to be in an event like Mini Nats or Lone Star Throwdown, you can go by their slap hands, let them know that OLP sent you. You never know what they'll hook you up with. Okay. Hut 1, Hut 2, Hut 3, Hut, Old Dirty Ballard, live and uncut. And number 1, there's a couple hodgepodge items. Number 1, leave us a rating. I know I say this sometimes, but whatever app you're on, for the most part, you should be able to leave us a rating. If you're on YouTube watching this, click the thumbs up and leave a comment. It could just be dope. It could be a thumbs up emoji. Any comment, any interaction that you can do with the page is going to continue to help move us up the ranks a little bit. I can't thank you folks enough. I would have never thought that I would have a channel that, we can really dive into the history of this truck scene that we love. You're going to continue to see more content from me on YouTube. I love Instagram, I love Facebook, but I think like YouTube I love because I love to catalog things. I love to say, hey, here's all the mini trucking magazines I've been going through by year, right? Let's put them into playlists. Let's talk about this truck. It can all kind of reside there, if you will, and that's the thing I love about YouTube. So I think what you're also going to see is for those that want to go a step above on YouTube and you want to become a member, there's 3 thresholds, and if you go to that second threshold or higher and you become a member, I am going to allow for the I don't want to say unedited. I'm going to allow for the interviews that I've done in the past without any of the other stuff, like K-Daddy or Craig Frazier, the few times we've had him on, or Dion. Those interviews will live out there, easy to find. It's going to take me some time to get everything uploaded, but certainly I will tell you this, for anybody that comes and becomes a member, and that money, that little bit of money that's collected, that's all going to go back into buying more magazines, filling in some of these gaps, getting this stuff that we can really, really, really highlight and document, okay? And I think this is big. There's a guy I follow on Instagram called Rap Zines, like magazines, but Rap Zines, and he does the same thing, but he does it with rap magazines from all over the world, hip-hop stuff. So I kind of feel like, you guys know how much I love this stuff, and for those that become members, and then we'll launch a Patreon, anything that comes in from there, it's pretty much what we've been doing. Like, any little bit that we can take from going to a show that we don't have to give back to Graphic Disorder to buy more merch, I try to go and I'll spend that money and go, hey, I want to buy this magazine. I want to buy this. Let's tell this story. So that's what I've been doing, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. But I will tell you, I've been collecting magazines for over 30 years now, which is crazy. And I spent a lot of money. So any little bit that you guys can kind of kick in. And if you go, hey, I don't want to do that, then just buy some merchandise. It's that easy. OurLifestylePodcast.com. When we came out years ago with that Mike Dominguez OLP shirt, I feel like we changed the game because we came with a shirt that was 2 designs, a front and a back, 2 different designs. And then, oh, by the way, we ramped up. And our show, like we basically took what people were putting into a show shirt artwork and we made that our regular shirt, And I'm so proud of that. And the reason that we've been able to do that is because of all the support. And I'm telling you, we're going to keep the pedal stomped. There's no end in sight, at least with my mindset, in terms of what I want to do. But I will tell you is the more that you buy a shirt or buy a hat or buy some stickers, that stuff just gets reinvested in so we can go, hey, Graphic Disorder, we want to ratchet up what we've already ratcheted up. And I can tell you, I've got some huge ideas for this year. Some of the artwork is not going to be cheap, but I'm telling you, when people see our stuff and they get that hair sticking up on their neck and they're super stoked, that's why I do it. I want people to go, dude, I got to have this, and that's what I think we did with the Cliff Josie Yoda. Super cool that Snoop reshared that. His team reshared that. Of course, that was at the tail end of the collection of doggy style stuff I have, which you can barely see if you're watching on YouTube over here. I don't know. I'm trying to do it right there. But, again, anything that you guys can do if you want to become a member on YouTube, that helps us out. We are going to roll out a pre-sale very, very soon. I don't know if it's going to be right before LST or right after, but certainly something that's going to be very, very cool. Also, ODB Live and Uncut, I'll say check out my Lincoln Addict channel on YouTube as well as the podcast. I'm finally getting my balance there, and I'm getting more content put out. So if you like the research that I do, if you like what I do here, you probably, even if you don't have a Lincoln, you'll probably appreciate some of the content that I'm putting out on Lincoln Addict, whether it's social media, YouTube, or the podcast. Lastly, this is my main message for this. Speaking of money, I highly suggest, in 2024, try to tuck away a few bucks. Even if you go to your bank and you set up like a hidden checking account or a hidden savings account, maybe you go, I already got a savings account. Set something up where you can trickle a few bucks if you feel like you need to into an account, because I can tell you this, I've had some friends and even one recently, an old high school friend, really going through some tough things, with some health challenges. And it's very tough when you have to, you're in a crunch, and there's a lot of different lifelines out there, there's a lot of ways for people to help, with GoFundMe's and stuff like that. And I know some people, their pride maybe gets in the way and they don't want to do that. But certainly my only thing would be, I know I feel like I spend a ton of money on just crap that I love, but try to put a few dollars away. I think if nothing else, it's going to help you in the future, maybe on a rainy day, or God forbid, a troublesome challenge that you run into. But again, I know many of us, we kind of say, hey, let's live life to the fullest. We're only here once. Let's do the damn thing. But at the same time, I don't want to go for broke with everything I do, right? I mean, there's that balance in life, right? And that's what I'm trying to find. So those are my messages for this week. ODB Live and Uncut, brought to you by our kinfolk at Colorado Custom Wheels. You can visit coloradocustom.com. Hit up Michael and team if you want a steering wheel. They make other parts. I think they still dabble with the rear view mirrors, but the wheels is their bread and butter. They'll make an old set of wheels as well. You can hit them up. Their prices are not cheap. I will warn you, billet wheel prices have continued to increase like many things in life, but I will tell you there's no better customer service. And in my opinion, there's no better shine than Colorado Custom Wheels, especially when they're brand new. So thanks to the kinfolk at Colorado Custom Wheels. Mini Truckin Syndicate updates. So if you listen to a recent episode, I talked about the Mini Truckin Syndicate. And what I want to do here is show you just a couple of things that's going down in the scene. Now, what I constantly do is even though I'm not on Facebook much, as soon as I go on there, if I see something, I add it to a folder. So number one, I want to give a shout out to Bob Hayes. He says, good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to let you know that I'm okay. I went through a pretty traumatic 11 days. I'm still in CCU. They're talking about taking me out of here today. This was, of course, like a week ago. He has since sent me a message, and he said, hey, do you need anything for the Hall of Fame? And I was like, look, man, the only thing that we need is for you to rest up and get better. So I hope all is well, Bob. Sean Rose, he says, this is back, of course, on 131. It's official. We have our first big announcement of the year. Keep an eye out for a video drop coming soon. Sean Rose with Rose Metalworks. He's got a lot of good stuff going on for him, and he's no stranger to the podcast. We'll slap hands with him at Mini Nats. And then lastly, I wanted to show, this is Anthony Reynolds. New liver. I made it through the surgery. Long recovery road now. He says positive vibes only. So we're rooting for you, homie. And, of course, get better. Those are the few updates that I wanted to share this week as it relates to the Mini Truck Syndicate updates. This is brought to you by our kinfolk at Local Rides Mag, LOCAL, Rides with a Z, Local Rides Mag. Just how it sounds, except for an S. Put the Z in there, and Local Rides Mag will get you squared away. They got about $10 options for individual issues, and Bill is doing great things with his wife. We love what you're doing, homie. The podcast updates, okay? We're rolling through this. I know I'm looking at my timer. I'm like, wow, I'm a little longer than I thought. Podcast updates, I want to thank Joey at Get Decked. Again, I said this earlier, leave a rating for us. If you're on Spotify, if you're on the pre-installed podcast app, the Apple podcast app, certainly leave a rating. It helps us out. The OLP honors. Now, we announced everything on the podcast. I still never put the graphic out there with the truck. I'm going to do that around the time that we have the awards in hand. Hopefully, we'll be giving most of those out at Lone Star Throwdown for anyone that is in attendance. If not, we'll see many of you at Mini Nats. We'll take photos, and we'll also share to the world an image of your vehicle. along with the photo that we take with you. And we got to thank Welch at Welch's Chop Shop. He makes these awesome awards, not only for us, but for many shows nationwide. Thank you so much, Josh Welch. The podcast updates are brought to you by Joey at Get Decked. And again, we mentioned Get Decked earlier. It's Get Decked, just how it sounds, _VA. And look him up, hit him up, and he will get you squared away. He'll do as little as one deck at a time. Now, I'm just double-checking to make sure Miggity Mike The Mayor is not checking in, and he hasn't yet. It's possible he's got 15 more minutes, and if he doesn't, I'm going to have to find... I got his binder around here. I got the key right over here, and once I get it, it's game over, Mike. As I scroll back through, of course, I'm going to try to call Mike in a few minutes, see if he'll pick up. We'll talk about the trivia with Mike. You guys aren't going to want to miss this one. I know Brad Kreisman is going to love it. Shout out to the big homie, Brad. But when I look back, and I think of Scraping the Coast, right, and I think of Hammered Weekend Wear, Get Decked, Lone Star Throwdown, Garage Gear Clothing, Colorado Custom Wheels, Southeast Mini Truckin Nationals, AccuAir, Graphics Mafia, the place that we love to get our stickers from, Local Rides Mag, and then the big homie at CNS Metalworks, Chris Burns. There's a lot of good people out there. Some we partner with closer than others. But at the end of the day, these are good folks. And what I would tell you is there's a lot of brands out there that you will sometimes go and buy something from and you don't even realize where it's coming from. All of these Instagram accounts I see, a lot of them don't even share their location. So many of them aren't even in the U.S. And that's fine, right? It's not all about the U.S., I guess, from a content creation perspective. But, if you think about so many of these brands that you're buying from, you often put your credit card in and you buy stuff and you don't even know who it's coming from. So I often say that's why I love promoting these great companies through the podcast because, I have a personal connection. I've spent money with most of these, if not all of them. And I think that's a key thing. So when you're listening to a podcast, if you can, try to support the folks that are supporting the podcast and supporting the scene in general because it goes a long way. So I can't thank our partners enough. They've helped me over the course of time. I know they've helped Mike. They've helped Eastbound Get Down. They've done a lot for the scene, and at the end of the day, that's what it's about, right? So with that being said, here's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to link up with Mike and see if he's a no-call, no-show. We're going to call after that. We're going to talk with Aaron Hunt about Art of Noize show this weekend, and then we're going to wrap it up with Sean from RAD BMX Builds, which is brought to you by AccuAir. And again, we hope that you guys will join us at Southeast Mini Truckin Nationals, also known as Mini Nats, in about 2.5 months, that third weekend in April 2024, Maggie Valley, North Carolina. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but I've said a lot. Much love to everybody out there. Thank you. Many of you work hard. And for you to spend 1 minute, let alone 60 minutes, or God forbid, 2 hours with us, we can't thank you guys enough. And all the ladies, of course. Stay on the rise, everyone, and have a safe weekend. Lord willing, we may hit you next weekend, next Friday, with another episode. It's ODB. I approve this message. And hopefully I'll get your vote one day. We got you. Are you telling me... Wait, I've been trying to get a hold of you. You haven't been kidnapped, have you? Wait, is it still called kidnapped if you're an adult? Is it called adult napped? Is it called adult napped if you're an adult and you get kidnapped? Dude, Miggity Mike The Mayor barely by the hair of his chinny chin chin avoided a no call no show. Now he's trying to hop on some I think he's stuck in. I think he said he's out with the airboats. He fell off an airboat and he's in the middle of nowhere trying to get on Wi-Fi. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, man. You just can't make it up. See, he's laughing. Mike, do not let those alligators get you, bro.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Dude, Mike. Okay, so listen. We're getting ready to call one of our homies out from the West Coast to talk about Art of Noize show this weekend. But there was a rumor that you were on an airboat out in the Everglades, dude, and someone picked you up. And are you doing okay? Because I know you look like you've been out there for weeks, bro.
Dude, it has been days. So
Days,
let me get
dude.
on this Let me get on this Wi-Fi here.
It's, dude. Luckily, someone gave you some food and water, right, Mike?
Come on now.
Dude.
All right. All right, we're on Wi-Fi.
So listen, hey, real quick. Last weekend, you went to Dragon the Alley, and I didn't get a chance to talk about this earlier when I was doing some of the audio. But Dragon the Alley, your kinfolk, Christian and team, they really came through another year, and I saw you out there gallivanting. Did you get any? What is it called? A chicken? Did you get any chickens when you were playing?
I got no turkeys, no spares, no strikes. Miggity Mike does not bowl, bro. Okay.
No turkey legs.
No turkey legs, no turkey breasts, no turkey butts, none of that stuff, none of the above. Dude. But what I did do was I went around, I shook plenty of hands, kissed lots of babies, and just thanked everybody for coming out to Eastbound. Because pretty much everybody that was there at the bowling tournament was at Eastbound. So that just gave me another chance to talk to everybody and see the vibe and see how everybody felt about the show. And everybody loved it, man. So we had a good time out there at the bowling tournament. And hey, guess who ended up winning and taking the trophy for Dragon the Alley this year?
Now, if you tell me this club starts with an A, I'm gonna call like there could have been some interference.
Some interference. I knew you were gonna say that, so we just changed the name for that day, and it was Get Down was the name of that name of the club that day.
Right.
Yeah, because yes, good old Aftermath. Now, see, it's legit, bro. It is absolutely legit. It's all taken by the points of, the computer keeps a score, so there's no way Christian can cheat. No way.
Dude, he had some sort of weird antenna thing there, and I swear that he had hacked in to the system, but, that could have just been a rumor going around.
Well, first of all, you wasn't there, ODB, so you don't know.
I got intel.
You don't know. I know your boy Kurt was there, though, and I know Kurt was keeping you informed on everything that was going on.
Oh yeah, so he's got the intel. But look, speaking of Eastbound Get Down, I'm thinking that as this year goes by, we got to talk more about it because I love that AccuAir was out there, and I love that if people need an engine or a transmission, they can call Stingray Chevrolet. And the cool thing, Mike, is about Eastbound Get Down, the third annual event was awesome. And I really think, from what I'm hearing, they need to stay tuned to social media all year at Eastbound Get Down show, right?
I hope so.
Mike, I got one question for you. Are you ready?
Now it's time to I'm always ready, brother. I'm ready to get it wrong.
Hey, I know you're gallivanting, so we only got just a couple minutes with you. Dude, be careful out in the Everglades because, dude, those gators are no joke. But, dude, Brad Christman's going to love this one. What movie starred Prince and was also the title of one of his famous songs in the 1980s, dude?
Purple Rain.
Purple Rain. I cannot believe you got it, Mike. And right there, I was trying to get him back on the screen before. But, Mike, I asked you that question so quick. There's no cutaways. There's no way you could have Googled that. So I'm going to give you the tick marks.
Hey, I actually knew one, so let's not take no tick marks. Let's not, whoa, what do you got there?
Dude.
Is that my binder?
Yeah, look how thick it is, dude.
Is that my employee binder?
Dude, you know what else I found in here? I found an old Forever stamp. Do I have to add money to those or no?
Hey, Jay, it's called a Forever stamp for a reason.
Wait, this is an 18 cents. Do I have to put like 3 pennies in there?
Yeah, you put 3 pennies and it'll get sent back, Bubba.
Oh boy,
three pennies are not going to do you any good nowadays.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put on there. Do you know who Mike Murray is? Send this to Naples.
Dude. And you know what? They're going to send it back to you and say, we don't give a fuck who Mike Murray is. You have to pay, because actually stamps just went up again, I believe.
Dude, listen. The new thing on Apple Podcasts, they're transcribing every word with this new update that's coming. So, Mike, listen. Be forewarned. Your employer, I guarantee, and you've got some of the mini truckers out there that are hanging on every word you're saying, dude. I mean, we've heard the intel. So we're going to have to be very careful we're gonna have to ramp up your carny talk and stuff so we can really get back to the codes, because if we get brought down for anything we're saying on here, it's not going to be good.
Bro, I just want you to say that hat is fire, bro. I like that hat.
Hey, you know what? I gave a shout out to you. Guess who got me this hat?
I'm gonna say Scotty the Body.
Close. Scotty the Body still owes me big. This is from Jizef. Jeff brought it. He's been meaning to bring it to a show, and I said, dude, Mike got me the poster, dumpster diving, and you got me the hat.
Now, all right. So I got you this poster. I don't even see it. I don't even see it hanging up.
I have it in a safe place because look, I'm out of room, dude. You see that that tush right there?
Yeah.
Can't right there. I gotta fix the light right there.
Yeah, because that glare is right on the tush.
Look at that. Look at that ambiance. What am I doing? I could have had the ambiance the whole time. Now, again, people, if you're listening, folks, if you're listening on a podcast app, please make sure you go back on YouTube and stream this because you want to see Mike right now. Mike literally looks like he's been out. Welcome to the jungle. He's been playing his Axl Rose album, and he's doing the damn thing. But listen, Mike, give Keith Rock a big fist bump. You supposedly had made a trek over there working on chrome control arms and stuff on the Mazda, right? But we can't talk about that.
Yeah, those gold wing doors, man. We got to get them ready for After Dark because After Dark is going down in 2 weeks, man. I can't wait.
And this weekend, remind me, Tony's show is in Clearwater as well, OCC.
Yes, it's over there at OCC Bar and Grill, and it's the TTP show, and it's the autism. It's for the Autism Awareness Show.
Okay, I thought it was for cancer, but yeah, that's right. It's for autism.
Yeah, because remember, Tony, which is the guy that owns TTP, he's also a sponsor of Eastbound. His son has autism, so this show was very special to him. And the place that helped his son and to get to the point where he is today, all that money from the show goes right back to that place. I don't recall the name of the place, but I just know that I believe this is the 4th year of the show, and every penny that is made from this show goes right back to the place that helps his son to this day.
Yeah, he's good, people. Mike, I covered a ton of stuff on this episode, including breaking news earlier. Rest in peace, Toby Keith. You probably saw that news today.
Yep.
I know he's beloved by a lot of people, even non-country music fans. So that was definitely a sad thing that's happened. We want to continue to thank all of our sponsors, including Graphics Mafia. The Trivia with Mike is brought to you by our kinfolk at Graphics Mafia, GRAPHIX. Mafia.com. Mike, in the coming weeks, probably after LST, maybe we will do a live episode one evening where we could do a Q&A with a lot of the OLP fans. And I appreciate you taking the time.
They've been calling for it, bro. They've been calling for it. It's something we have to do, bro.
I know. And listen, I know you got mosquito bites from being out for weeks, dude.
Oh, man.
Dude, luckily
bears and lions and oh boy are all crazy out here, bro.
Luckily, you've seen Crocodile Dundee probably more than I have. So luckily, you knew the mating calls to make and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing about it is, it's not a mating call when they run away from you, though. You know what I'm saying? They see this big crocodile coming and they run the opposite way, bro.
Dude, I love it.
It's all good.
Give Keith, the Keister, I guess, I don't know where that came from. Give Keith Rock our best. And stay on the rise, Mike, and keep those mosquitoes. Dude, those mosquitoes are a mother effer down there, bro.
Dude, they're huge, bro. They're the size. Dude, when I tell you that, are they over there? You got them right now? Oh,
God damn
man. And the ODB compound, too?
Dude, as soon as you started talking skeeters, bro, they started swarming from Naples.
Bro, the skeeters are everywhere, bro. I'm telling you. But, hey, listen, the only good thing right now, and I know the guys that are going to hear this are going to be like, cold. Bro, it's a little chilly outside right now. So there's really not too much of a problem with the mosquitoes out there. But now the crocodiles and the alligators and the bears and the wolves and all those wild critters, there's a bunch of those out here though.
Oh yeah. Hey, I didn't get a chance to thank Glenn Brown for coming on last episode. I know the Custom Scene podcast. Good people. We talked a lot about Terminal Takeover, their show. I think they're creating an awesome pre-show experience. So certainly hit up, the team over there at Terminal Takeover. But Mike, listen, that's all I got for you, bro. We got to get sideways because I got to call the big homie Aaron Hunt. We're going to talk about the Art of Noize, Bring the Noize show that's back this year, and then we got to get to Sean at RAD BMX Builds. They don't want to hear from us anymore. They're calling for the guest, man. I'm seeing the comments come in, dude. Just like Eastbound Get Down, they're going, "Can I get judged next year with the Vision Pro headset?" I go, "I got to talk to Mike."
Pro. Hey, I'm working on that. John actually is trying to get the app to start working, so we can do this whole live thing where when Dustin Boone and Rob Seeley are there judging the cars, that so we're working on it right now.
Oh yeah,
we're hoping to have that by 2033.
Yeah, and I'm gonna call mine Hater Vision. You know what I'm saying?
Hater
because there's
Vision.
gonna be so much. There's gonna be so much chrome shining. You're not even gonna be able to see. And Mike's gonna be like this, dude. I give up. I can't. I can't even. Is that billet? And listen, talk to you know on this next episode. If we go live, I want to get Shannon in there because listen, Mike.
Okay.
I know you told me not to talk to her, but look, I want to talk to her about these Christmas gifts she's getting you. I mean, you're telling me 2 years in a row, no chrome, no billet. I mean, listen, I don't want to be mean. If you want me to bring it up, I will. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I already told you not to talk to her, so obviously you already know the answer.
Yeah, well, we'll get it handled. But Mike, listen, dude, be safe, stay on the rise, bro, and get sideways into the weekend, but keep it
legal.
My brother, be good.
Always. Hey, stay low. Thanks, brother.
Peace.
See ya.
Hey, I'm so excited, as I mentioned, to sit down with Aaron Hunt. And Aaron, I can't thank you enough for just spending a few minutes with us, man.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks. I appreciate it.
No problem. And I want to give a tip of the cap to AON, Art of Noize, and you and all of the crew. There's a long list of history there, and I do want to link back up with you and some of your kinfolk in the future, because being on the East Coast, a lot of us looked up to Art of Noize, and we love the website. It's always been updated for 20 plus. So salute, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I feel like we live in our own little world out here in Arizona, and for a while we were kind of I thought we were we were like on the cutting edge of innovation for a while, but now you guys are over, that's for sure. The mini truck shows on your side of the world are just crazy, but we try to hold it down over here still.
Oh yeah. So we're going to talk with Aaron Hunt just a few minutes about Art of Noize. They have a couple of shows, and if you think about, I want to remind everyone, you can go to Art of Noize, and Noize is Noize, which you're seeing on your screen. They have a vast history of content out there. But talk to us just a few minutes about, I know it's a little late notice for some. Maybe we can pick some people up that are going to be able to make it out this weekend. But if you don't mind, Aaron, just kind of talk to us a little bit about the show. I think there was a hiatus and the fact that it's back now.
Yeah, so there was a time where I was president of this club, and I got busy with life, so I turned it over to Mike Day, who was the vice president at the time. He ran it for a while, and then he got a little bit busy in life, gave it back to me, and kind of when I took over, I wanted to kind of regroup, and I didn't want to throw a show last minute, so Bring the Noize didn't happen in 2022. So or 23, I should say. So it's back again, 2024. But our 4th of July show, which is an Independence Day show, which doesn't always happen on the 4th, it's somewhere around there. We throw that show as well. That's a night show, and there's fireworks. It's a lot more laid back. We try not to work as hard on that show because we want to spend time with our families. So we have a couple awards just to kind of satisfy the people that really insist on receiving awards at car shows. Yeah, there's always those people, but yeah, so that show is a top 20, very informal, some best ofs. Our Bring the Noize show is a formally judged show. I believe we have 22 classes, first, second, third, 9 best ofs, and best of show car, best of show truck. So it's from my understanding one of the last mini truck inspired shows in Arizona that still has formally judged classes, which we pride ourselves in. We'll take that punishment for the day of going through cars, but that's so that's the difference between the two shows. Bring Noize, formally judged car show, lots of classes. Independence Day car show, a lot more laid back in the evening because it's in July, it's hot. And both are great, but both are at the same venue, which is Victory Lane Sports Park, which is they're baseball fields. And in the middle of all the baseball fields is a 2-story building. The bottom is all concessions, and the
Okay.
top is a bar. And at the bar with food, there's like 360-degree balconies that overhang the baseball fields and look down at the cars. So, I mean, we're super fortunate to have such a great venue with a guy that's allowed us to throw it there for almost 20 years now. Yeah, it's a great venue.
Yeah.
The show is February 10th, so this Saturday.
So this Saturday, excellent. And to your point, looking back at the history, I mean, it seems like at least the website goes back to '01. So to your point, 20 plus years. And it's pretty awesome that when I look through this, I kind of got goosebumps because, it reminded me of the early days, as you said, Aaron, of, you have all these different classes. And one thing that I would assume, right, you guys have it laid out here nicely with all of this information. I would assume like you get a lot of top tier quality because, to your point, there's not a lot of these type of events left.
Yeah, so we're the first show of the year. So I think a lot of people really look forward to starting off the new year with their new builds. And in Arizona, contrary to other parts of the United States, unlike Florida where it's gorgeous all the time, but this is the time of year where it's really nice here. So people come here from different parts of the Western United States where we have sunshine, great weather, and it's the first show of the year. It's just a great place to kind of kick off a new build or just show what you've done to your current ride.
But yeah.
Lots of really great top tier. And we're fortunate in Arizona to have a couple mini trucker collectors here that have super infamous trucks. And I've been really trying to push them to bring as many out to our show as possible. So we'll see how many show up.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And there's such a, I always describe it the same. It's like a rich history between the lineage between Arizona and California, even going back to the Sever days, and you think RA in 91 and, NC. Then, of course, Art of Noize doing it for so long. And to me, it just feels right. I remember before we started, I had mentioned to you that I remember traveling to, I think it was Tucson for work years ago. And I was on the interstate like in the afternoon. It was just like a normal routine commute back to the hotel. And it was like, boom, there's Art of Noize. And you're like, man, look how clean that is. Let me get a photo, And I think you guys are well respected. And to me, I always thought to myself, like, you guys have always kind of remained true to the core of what you guys are. But at the same time, you're still putting events on. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I think that, like, if you look at the cars that come out of the club and trucks, but mostly cars, our style isn't over the top.
Yeah.
Not tons of body mods. And, some people kind of give us a grief about that our cars are basically stock, but it's all about the details, It's all about the hydraulic setup or the air setup and the management, the suspension, the small details that maybe, aren't like in your face, but when you just perceive the vehicle as a whole, it just looks so detailed and so clean. And we take that same format and we kind of try to apply it to our shows that way, where everything is polished, everything's well thought out, everything's organized.
Oh yeah.
And our trophies may not be solid billet block wheels like I've seen at some shows, but they are, minimal but effective and just something that you can collect.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking with Aaron Hunt, and when you think about, if you go on Facebook and just type in Art of Noize or Bring the Noize with a Z, you're going to see all this information. There's a great Facebook event page out there. And to his point, Victory Lane Park, I love how Facebook kind of really lays all this stuff out there. You've got people out here sharing the event page, which I think is awesome. Talk to us. I don't know what your relationship is with Body Dropped clothing. I know we see them at mini nats every year. They seem to be really ingrained, at the forefront of the culture, especially out there. I know Joey Whitby's a big supporter of theirs. It's got to be good to have a company to say, hey, we want to help you put this event on.
Yeah, I mean, I've never spoken to them, before this show, but they reached out and they were just so excited to be a part of it. They were like, when I told him the title sponsor was available, like he jumped on it immediately.
Excellent.
I mean, the guy is super cool. He offered to like help with, hey, do you need help with trophies or anything? And I was like, man, we got it. But yeah, I think that there's title sponsor of another show coming up too. So I think they're really just trying to get their name out there. Yep. And I think everybody needs to take a moment to support the companies that support us. And they're one of those companies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Nick, right, from Surface Art, he has that long history there in that whole community. I always love seeing Nick at the few times I get to go to SEMA and whatnot. And I know there's a lot of history there. The thing that I think is cool is that it seems like a very affordable price. $5 for a spectator to get in, very affordable. Kids under 12 are free, and then to enter a show, you start to get to, in certain areas of the country, you'll see higher prices and stuff. But to me, I thought $40 was very fair. Talk to us a little bit about, like, do you get a decent amount of spectators and kind of friends and family that come through?
Oh yeah, we get. I think we had 2,500 spectators at our 4th of July show, so we get a lot. Back in the heyday, the park that throws our show actually sold out of Bud Light within the first 3 hours, brought in a whole bunch more kegs, sold out again. They went to like the local grocery stores to buy more. I mean, we bring in like the people that come in as spectators, just they come in really heavily, which was really cool too.
Damn many truckers.
Yeah, guys. That's why the park loves us. That's why admission's only $5. So
excellent.
Hey,
one thing
talked about Nick from Surface.
Yes,
I want to show you this. So Nick hand drew our artwork. So you can see right here. This is the truck. This is the car, and then you can see this is how it ended up. So
amazing.
Yeah. He's a talented guy. I really admire anybody with that kind of talent because I don't have it.
Yeah, I can't draw a stick figure, and I tell you, he's one of the most humble guys. Like, it's, I saw him at SEMA last year for a moment, and I always go up, and he's just like, his dad was like, he thought it was cool somebody was coming by and knew him and stuff, and obviously a lot of people know Nick, but he's just a really humble guy. So if he hears this, shout out to Nick.
Yeah.
Something that I thought was, really cool is, the club that you guys are in, Art of Noize, that you come together. I know Sept has Sept in the Southwest, and so many different clubs around the country kind of come together. For those that may not know, like, how big is Art of Noize these days? Do you guys have your kind of core folks that have been in a long time?
Yeah, we're not very big. I think we have 15 active members in Arizona.
Got it.
California. And that is probably about it.
Got it.
And most are like, our show cars sit in the garage. You're not going to see driving around the streets too much like you used to.
Yeah. I know we've all gotten a little older. And the reason why I asked that is if you think about the amount of time and effort, like you said, with you kind of taking back over the reins, right, and kind of leading the guys and the ladies that are in your club and the members, if you will. It takes a village, right, to put on an event like this, and I know you would probably want to shout out, some of your club mates that really dedicate a lot of time.
Oh yeah, I'd want to shout them all out. I would be afraid to shout them all out one and then feel bad. So
yeah,
I'd shout out all the guys in the club and girls. You know who you are. Every single person is important in throwing this show because we judge each class. And every single person has to be held responsible for their decisions. It's a battle getting, 300 cars onto these fields quickly without overheating and without backing up the road nearby.
Yep.
Every single person really, really is valuable in making it happen. And I feel like the group of guys that are in the club right now are just like, every one of them is just a super close friend. Anyone can stop by anytime. We're really lucky to have like solid group right now.
Yeah, it's awesome. And again, when I think of, the heyday of mini trucking and some of the sport compact stuff and some of the super clean hydraulic setups and, everyone, to me, if you look in the mini trucking Bible, you see Art of Noize as one of the cleanest clubs out there. That's some of the cleanest rides. Talk to us a little bit about, I know we're primarily talking about this event that's going to happen, again, to your point, Aaron, this weekend. Yeah. The folks can go out on Facebook or Art of Noize, noize.com, and find more information. But I did want to just hint upon this before we wrap up. I know when I was talking to Joey, he reminded me of the Armada, and I remember hearing so much about it when it was first built. For those that don't know, in the future, we'd like to get you back on, but like you have lineage going back to the Armada that I think Graham owns now, but also we had Steve Lang on. We talked a little bit with him in the past, but you go back to the Hydraulics days as well with the infancy of that company.
Yeah. So my friend Derek Kortauer and I formed Hydroholics back in 2008, and Jeremy, he's now Trey 5.
Yep.
He did all of our installs, and we were like a really really good tight group of 3 guys that just knocked this out. But my Armada was built to kind of showcase the creativity that you could get with hydraulics, and I tried to think outside of the box. I did like a cantilever suspension that rode on box, off-road dual spring weight coilovers. I took out the independent suspension and put in a solid axle, which is the opposite of what most people do, just because I wanted to be able to drive it low. And I just love the look of like a Watts Link and all that, and I just wanted to learn. But I bought that truck when it was about 2 years old. I bought a welder, and I taught myself how to fabricate on that truck. So you feel it if you get underneath it. Everybody thinks my stuff is perfect, but it's not. You can tell where I started and where I finished. That's for sure on that truck.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was on SoCal Customs or it was around the time, but I mean, believe it or not, keeping our ears close to the mini truck scene, like I remember hearing stories about, man, yeah, this guy built this super cool, he's real OCD, this badass setup and things like that. And to me, that's the cool thing about our scene. And if you think about how much it's changed over the years, a little bit of that is lost now because of the internet. Things spread so quick.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think I appreciate so much, going to the Art of Noize website and seeing some of that old school feeling of the different classes and the amount of effort that you and the ladies and the guys in the club are putting together. And I'm sure some of the wives and spouses that are putting together to go, hey, our friend James at hashtag Mini Movement often says he's helping keep Mini Truckin' alive. And I would certainly, throw my opinion in and say Art of Noize is definitely doing that as well.
I appreciate that. I mean, we're trying. We're also trying to get as we get older, our kids are getting older, and now we're getting our kids involved. So 3 of the members of my club have their kids.
Wow.
Myself having my own son that are part of the show. 2 of them have cars that are in the club. It's just, it's cool seeing the next generation and teaching them to think outside of just basic bolt-ons. I mean, you could buy anything these days that just bolts on, but, do something custom, something that not everybody can just go buy. And I think that's what's going to set you apart. So, trying to pass that on to the next generation. And I hope that people come to our show and see that and are inspired by that too.
Oh, yeah. Now, as we kind of wrap or, wind it down, there's the last couple things I want to mention. To Aaron's point, they do have another event, so we'll talk about that as we get closer to it, around the 4th of July holiday. Obviously, there's two, there's the 2 aspects of it. You got this event, which I'm sure a lot of I'm going to hopefully say this right, Arizonians, appreciate the fact that it is a little bit cooler right now. Obviously, it can kind of dip down, but you're probably hoping for good weather this weekend, knock on wood, and then obviously you've got the hot event, in the summer. But one thing I wanted people to see on this is I did not know him. I know there's a little nod here to Pete. And I know when Pete passed away, you guys did the Pete meet, I believe it was referred to. He followed me through my Lincoln account because we were, I think he had a Lincoln. You mentioned to me he may have sold it, but I know he's gone too far, far too early, right? In his age, he was a younger guy. But just anything you want to share about Pete?
Well, Pete was he's one of those guys that started out as a complete hack. I think he threw away a couple vehicles. He took a Honda Accord and cut the entire roof off of it and put a small block Chevy in it and laid it on the rocker panels, and then got so far along that it just was too cut up to even survive, so that went in the trash. But after being a hack long enough, he actually became really good at what he did and really fast at what he did. And he was just a super duper good guy, really fun to be around. I mean, you couldn't everybody just bonded to him. I remember his tattooed on his chest, it says Marone, which is his last name. And we're at like the water park, and some girl's like, "Why do you have moron tattooed on you?" And he's just that playful guy that everybody gravitated to. So like every time this little girl would see him, she'd be like, "What's up, moron?" And he'd have that banter back and forth with her. But yeah, Pete's legacy is going to live on. Every single one of our awards, every single one of our shirts has a logo on it that you can see on the artwork, designed also by Nick from Surface. So yeah, I mean, we have a award at our show this year that's going to be a memorial award for Pete, that we'll choose a vehicle that we thought he would like best, which it's probably
Nice.
going to be something ratty. And if it is something with a Cummins in it, that will definitely be a candidate. If it's a Lincoln, that'll be a candidate.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Super cool guy. We all miss him.
Yeah, and I didn't get to know him. I didn't get to meet him, but I remember sharing some of the videos. And there was a cool video one time of him driving to a show, and he was super low in that Lincoln. And I was like, my interest was piqued, and it was just a good group of people that were cruising and stuff. And I think that's what a lot of us are getting back to. The roots of why we got into it. To your point, trying to get the next generation involved, but at the same time, like that feeling of rolling to these events. I know like Cruise to the Pines is a big thing out there, and there's a big camaraderie of a lot of folks. I mean, sure, not everybody gets along. We get that. That's going to be in any scene, but at the same time, a lot of us are just getting to that middle age where we go, if we get back to our roots and we just do that and we can relive some of those feelings, man, life is good.
Yeah, get together with your friends, hang in the garage, work on stuff together, go on cruises together. Cruise the Pine coming up in May is like one of my favorite shows. Because of the cruise. Now they have a great venue too. I think that, hate to say it, but theirs might even be better than ours. I thought we held the king of the great venues for a while, but man, theirs is awesome. Yeah, I think you nailed it. We need to get together as friends, appreciate each other every day, because you don't know that you'll get to see each other in the future as we get older and get more gray hairs.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. And I'll tell people, and I try to say this, and I've tried to do better in my life of, I encourage people out there to even bury beefs if they have any. This isn't directed at any one person, but I try to really reinforce that message because I know even for me, getting past some of the little hiccups that I've had in the scene, has made me feel better. But at the same time, I'm sure we've all been in a situation where we lose someone or we see a friend that lost someone and they go, man, you know what? Like, God, man, the guy wasn't so bad. Like, I wish I would have buried my beef with him, or I wish I would have settled my differences. And, that's something I've taken away. But I can't thank you enough for just taking a few minutes. And I would just encourage folks, if you can, if you're in the greater Glendale, right? It's considered?
Yeah, Glendale's where the show's at.
In Glendale. If you're in that greater area and you can make it out, I mean, for $5, you can kind of walk through, have a wonderful time, take some photos, tag them, hashtag it. And then also, if you got a ride, go out there. Again, I got to thank Joey Whitby for kind of linking us up. And that's the one good thing I can tell you, reading the magazines for so long and just being ingrained in the scene. I'm always amazed. Like, I just met you today, and I feel like I've known you forever. So, the scene is a great thing. And I just truly feel like if we can keep pushing it ahead, it's going to be a win-win for everyone and hopefully that next generation.
Yeah, next generation for sure. We're a real crew. We're a tight group in Arizona. You talked about bearing beef. There isn't a whole lot of beef out here. I mean, we all really get along great. So
excellent.
A pretty good turnout just because we have so many friends and we're so close. But anyone else that has never been, or if you're hesitant to come, I really encourage you to come up.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, and we definitely appreciate the support. Hey, we're so excited, as I mentioned, to sit down with Sean again. Almost, keep me honest, almost 3 decades. I think it was around 29 years you were in the U.S. Armed Services.
Yeah, I was Air Force for about 27 and a half years, 1990 to 2018.
Got it. Okay, yep. So just a hair under 3 decades. And as I always say, and I always want to use the emoji USA flag, go America, and thank you for your service, Sean.
Appreciate it, Jason. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Man, we've got a lot to talk about. I can't believe it's been a year and a half ago. We got a chance to link up out in California. I was there for the Raddies event, and it was really cool meeting you. I've always, this might sound crazy, I've always looked up to your page and what you do, and obviously the service to the country. But you've had a lot going on since then, Sean. Talk to us a little bit about how you've evolved from the West Coast. Now you're kind of in the rapper world. They call it Third Coast born.
Yeah, man, it's kind of gone full circle. A lot of people don't know this, but I actually started RAD BMX Builds here in Boerne, Texas. So that's where I made it official, so to speak. But we were traveling around in a motorhome. We were, nomadic, so to speak. So I was buying parts and sending them to storage units and building bikes out of storage units at the time. So we've come full circle. Yep. But yeah, you and I saw each other over at Newport Beach when I lived there. And that's where a lot of the followers started coming on board. So they just assumed that, I grew up and was born and raised there. I did grow up in Orange County, California, but Newport Beach was only about a 2.5 year span. I think I was there. And then things changed and I had to move from there. I really confused a lot of people with that because we went to Arizona and then we were gone from Arizona in 1 year to Texas. So people don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah, we just tell him, hey, listen, he can't talk about this stuff. It's undercover. You know what I mean?
That's right. I signed an NDA.
Yeah, exactly. What was cool is we talked a lot about it, and if people haven't listened to the episode, I'll link to it at the end of this one if you're watching us on YouTube. You talked about some of that history with Jeff at Devious, and I've since, I was always friends with Jeff, but we became a little bit closer. We have a lot in common, but something I wanted you to kind of talk about is now that you're in Texas, right? You've lived a lot of different places, especially in the armed services, the Air Force. But what's the vibe been since you moved there? I mean, are you liking it?
So we've been in Texas now since I think December. We moved in the 29th of December. So it's only been a little over a month, right? It hasn't been very long.
Yep.
But we have been in Texas before. My wife and I got married in Texas. So we have some roots here. My kids live here. So it kind of feels good, like I'm coming home, so to speak. And we bought a brand new custom home out in the hill country. And now we have space. We have peace and quiet. So far, it's been pretty amazing.
Yeah, when you landed in Texas, I was like, I kind of gave a thumbs up because I knew that, you've lived in different places, but I kind of felt like, although when I met you in California and we knew all those awesome shots you were getting with the bikes and stuff out there, I know that you probably had a little bit of that in your heart. I get it, but it seems like Texas and your family really just linked up, and it's a great space for you guys.
Yeah, man, I'm a big beach guy. I love Newport Beach. And to be honest with you, I still miss it a little bit.
Right.
The chaos and the craziness and the noise and trying to
Yep.
film while you're there is just almost impossible. Still photos, no problem. But trying to do audio and, videos for YouTube, very challenging. Out here, there's no noise whatsoever other than maybe a deer walking across my driveway. So it's been pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah. Now, what I want to do is, everyone can bear with me just a second here. I want to reinforce, we're talking with Sean from RAD BMX Builds. Now, across the bottom, you're going to see the ticker. You can follow Sean. It's at rad_BMX_builds. So please go out there and check out his site. I wanted for guys to see this. But something, Sean, that I think was super cool is you've built this awesome relationship with Mr. Damian Fulton. Behind Radical Rick, and thanks for the support. I know you listened to that episode, but I wanted you for a moment to talk about how that relationship evolved, and one of the things that happened since we talked last time was the Hall of Fame piece. So talk to us a little bit about the BMX Hall of Fame and how your contribution ended up there.
Yeah, Damien is just such a genuine, awesome guy. He's kind of like my brother from another mother.
Right.
I got in contact with him and I said, hey, would you like to do an interview for YouTube? And he said, absolutely. And he came over to my house in Newport Beach. And we just really hit it off, man. We hung out and just pretty much became friends over a couple hours. And that right there, he drew for me. And then that one right there, he drew in my living room after the interview. And I did film it. I put it up on YouTube. But ever since then, we've been really close. We stay in contact. We support each other. And he came out with a really rad book. And I highly recommend everyone get that book. And, he supports me. I support him. But the bike piece, Haro did a Radical Rick bike. And this is not a jab at Haro, but they missed the mark.
Sure.
And maybe it is a little bit of a jab. Some of these big companies like Haro and GT are coming out with retro bikes, but they're really just not hitting that 80s look. It's the details that we had, the colors that we had. It was just kind of sloppy. And so Damien said, hey, would you be interested in putting your spin on a Radical Rick Haro bike if I can get you one? I said, of course, that's a no-brainer for me.
Right.
So Haro sent me the bike. Damien facilitated that, and one showed up at my house. And the more I looked at it, the more challenging I knew this bike would be because it had a disc brake. In the 80s, we didn't have disc brakes. The way they did the colors on it, it was paint. So I knew I was going to have to repowder coat the entire bike. Damien sent me the artwork and the file, so I was able to duplicate some of the artwork and make one-off decals for that bike. And then basically, that bike is so custom. The only thing Haro on it is the frame, the fork, and the hubs. Everything else has been replaced. And
Yeah,
I put a lot of
absolutely.
blood, sweat, and tears into that bike, and then the Hall of Fame happened, and I was lucky enough to drive out there, and there it is, a centerpiece for the Radical Rick display at the BMX Hall of Fame in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah, and I would tell people, even if you're not kind of a BMX nut, if you will, go back and listen to the episode where we had Sean on before. Then we obviously were able to link up. Very fortunate to have Damian Fulton on. And this display is cool because, Sean, like I always joke with my friends, and I think we may have joked before, I can't even draw barely a stick figure. So anytime I see this artwork, man, and all of that display and the bike just fits so well, it's got to be kind of maybe a surreal feeling. I don't know if that's the right word.
You know, I got to share this moment with you. I never knew about the display. I've never seen it. I showed up, I prepped the bike, I walked into the Hall of Fame, and I saw that display, and my jaw hit the floor. And the bike fit so perfect, like that display was made for the bike. And everybody thought that that's how the display and the bike were to be presented. They had nothing to do with one another, but they came together so perfectly. It looked like it was meant to be. We couldn't have been happier with the outcome.
You're like, hey, my name's Sean. I'm great, but I couldn't foresee something I didn't get a chance to see. But yeah, it looks so cool. And there's so much, our friend Ronnie at C10 Talk always uses the word lineage. It's so neat because when I would see, I think it's like BMX HOF or their official Instagram, if you follow the BMX Hall of Fame, to me, just the photos and some of the videos that you've shared both on your YouTube as well as your Instagram Reels, it is done so well, and I'm just so glad. I think it's in Oklahoma, you said, right?
It is Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yep.
Pretty cool stuff. And
yeah, I filmed while I was there, so I made, I think, 2 YouTube videos out of that trip, and I did several reels while I was there. I wanted to document and to have that, that experience captured on film. So I wasn't able to really just put the cameras away and absorb everything. I was able to capture it in the camera, then go back and really take it all in and capture some of the things I couldn't capture. But it was ironic. I posted a reel, and within a day, it had over 100,000 views on it. Everyone was watching the reels in the Hall of Fame. And I thought, geez, man, that's doing pretty good, and people really like that kind of content.
Yeah, and some of these folks, not going to say specifically them, but sometimes you'll have an organization like this that's maybe in their infancy and they may not have a big social team, or maybe they've got one person. So to your point, you're kind of the boots on the ground, so to speak, because you're there and you're like, wow, look, I filmed this, and then you can put it up there. And to me, for all of the negative things that people could say about social media, I know you and I, we kind of have our brands through social, but that's one of the great things. People can kind of live vicariously that maybe couldn't make it to Tulsa.
You took the words right out of my mouth. And that was one of the reasons the beach content did so well is I would post myself at the beach in December on a sunny day, and there's people snowed in Maine just hating their life. So when you post a video where not everybody can go there, like Huntington Beach Tuesdays, or not everybody can experience beach weather in December, you get really good views with stuff like that because, like you said, everyone lives vicariously through video.
Oh, yeah. Now, behind you is the RAD BMX Builds, that really cool logo. There's a guy in our truck scene that's making some of these really cool LED/neon feel. And when you got that made, and I know you're still working on your new place, so congrats.
Thanks.
It's so cool to see that logo, and I think it really hits the nostalgia with people.
Yeah, it's ironic. When I came up with this design, I actually hired a graphic designer, but I had ideas.
Sure.
I stole from the Maui and Sons logo with the circle, square, rectangle, triangle kind of thing.
Yep.
And then I stole from the movie Tron a little bit. So inside the blue letters, there was a grid if you look at the non-neon sign version of it.
Yep.
So just aspects, and I gave it to the graphic designer, and over 2 or 3 changes, we came up with that. And it just kind of hits the 80s colors, the Miami Vice blue and pink, and it came out pretty good.
Yeah, it's always amazing to me, and I wanted to hit upon this because I'm pretty sure I looked at I think you follow somebody I know through the RAD movie, which is the 80s Garage. He's kind of transformed his name over the course of time. And
David's a good guy. He's got an awesome page.
Yeah, David, shout out to David if you hear this. And when you look at, and I think we touched upon this when you were on before, and you look at just the late 70s, you could even say all the 70s, but the 70s, the 80s, the early 90s, it's such a very great time in pop culture, and, whether it's BMX or films and things like that. And to me, I love all of this stuff that has come full circle. I follow a lot of YouTube channels, and I'm sure you do, where it's Instagram, and you'll see a guy pop in the Goonies VHS tape. I mean, who would think that 50,000 people would watch that? Right. And we just go, oh, man, I remember when. We barely could afford a VHS when I was a kid, though.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like the older I get, the more nostalgic I get. I think that's probably true with everybody.
Yeah.
So you always will go back to that special place in your life. And to me, that was my teenage years. I mean, they were so molding during the 80s. And so, when I retired, I was like, what am I going to do? And I just resorted back to 17-year-old Sean, but my budget might be a little better now than it was when I was 17. And I'm able to build the stuff I wish I had then.
Oh, yeah. Something I want to hit upon is, that exact piece that you just mentioned where, as I've evolved on social media over the past, several years, I've gotten a little bit better with dealing with certain kind of people, and I realize there's certain trolls out there, right? And there's people that, you're building bikes, you're into these stupid trucks, grow up. And something I've told a friend, I had a long conversation with them, I was like, you could literally, someone could troll any account and say, you still play golf, you should grow up, you still fish. All of us are into different things, right? And to me, I've learned on these trolls a lot of times, my response is, hey, if you comment back one more time for a prize. And when they comment back, of course, they get blocked. And I know you've dealt with some trolls over the course of time. Any advice that you have for people?
Man, gosh, I could do a whole episode all about this.
Right.
So I don't have a filter. Like
Sure.
you said, I spent almost 3 decades in the military.
Right.
I'm surprised I haven't sworn already. So when people sound off like that, I want to lose my stuff and just respond back, right? So I have to really reel in. My wife's like, don't even acknowledge them. But I feel this need where I have to sometimes.
Sure.
And so we get into a back and forth. But then I realize this is helping me. It's engagement. So when these idiots get on there and they write something really stupid or ignorant, that's actually helping me. So I enjoy it a little bit. And then I poke the bear and I play around with them like a toy. And, eventually they get blocked when they just get really offensive or they, don't know what they're talking about. But yeah, I have fun with them for sure. They don't realize it. They think they're making maybe they're wanting their 15 seconds of fame. But what's funny, Jason, is these people are all private accounts, no posts. Like, it's just, those are the people, right? It's no big accounts out there talking like that and doing those kind of things.
Yeah, we have a friend, John Lopez, really big dude. Like, he could just pick me up and throw me against a wall. He has a very successful career, and he built this brand new Escalade. It took a few years, and they built it. And when I posted it, I think it's really my one post that really went viral. It was by the time I went to bed and woke up the next morning, we were at 350,000 views, and I was like, oh my God, right?
Wow, yeah.
So I learned, if it started to really jump up, before I went to bed, it was I was responding back because, I think the algorithm's it's seeing all of this kind of back and forth going on. So I was responding. It was some of these people, it was a filthy first comment, and then me, Mr. Smiley, going, hey, thank you so much for your awesome comment. You're helping our page grow. And that seemed to anger them more because they're like, F you, I hate your page. And I go, no, you're helping us. You don't understand. So yeah, to your point, that E-word engagement really is a big thing.
It really is. And the way I can't say how the algorithm works. Right. It's its own monster. But I do know that once you post, the algorithm will see if it's getting immediate attention and consecutive attention. So if people start talking right after you post and you're engaging back and it's being saved, shared, stuff like that, that post will do really well. If you just throw it out there and it's got no trending audio, no engagement, it kind of dies on the platform.
Yeah, there is really kind of a science, and to your point, it's none of us have really 100% figured it out, but we all know enough to be scary, and you certainly hit up on that. And I wanted to ask you this, when you think of something I've learned, right, is I look at, some of these magazines and some of the stuff you will comment on. I love this stuff, right? But I've had to learn the last couple of years, and we're kind of talking about content creation, is YouTube, even a lot of YouTubers are doing shorter videos. Like if they used to do 20-minute videos, maybe they're doing like 9.5 minutes. But on Instagram, I've seen you do this as well. A lot of your videos might be 6 or 7 seconds. Why do you think that's so important, Sean?
So there's two. I do long ones, and then I do real short ones.
Got it.
So the attention span of people is very short.
Yep.
So Instagram realizes this, and so if the sweet spot's like 7 to 12 seconds, where you'll get the entire video watched.
Yep.
Beyond that, they start dropping really fast.
Yep.
There's sometimes I just don't care, and I'm going to post whatever I want to post, and it could be
Same here.
40 seconds long. If you want to watch it, great. But sometimes those do pretty well too. So there's other things that go into factor there. Like I said, trending audio is huge.
Oh, yeah.
And so once you're able to identify what's trending and what's not, and there are ways to do that, and you use that even on a photograph, it will help engagement a lot. I've also realized pure photographs don't do well.
Correct.
You can make a photograph a reel, and it'll play for a few seconds and add audio to it. And it's basically a reel with just a photo, and that's going to do better than a regular photo would.
Yeah, that's good feedback, and I wanted for folks to hear that, because if you are a content creator, and I know as much as I sometimes say, hey, I don't do it, none of us really get up and go, hey, Sean's retired, so he's in a little bit different spot, right? And he's building his brand, so he's kind of like, hey, if my page grows, it's good for him. And I tell people a lot of times, if you just put a little bit of effort into it, you can actually springboard your account like you wouldn't believe. And these are great tips from you, Sean.
Yeah, thank you. It's not fast, though. It's not an overnight thing. I've been doing this for 8-9 years now on Instagram.
Oh, yeah, and that's good advice for folks because, to Sean's point, it doesn't happen overnight. I love a lot of these videos that they're seeing right now, these little videos, and it's so awesome that we can create this content on our phones, right, our Android or iPhone. And, you just get a little bit of the nostalgia. You've got a bunch of the number plates. I know that you've got some good partnerships, with some of the number plates. Talk to us a little bit about the importance. When you buy a bike, you're not just buying it to go ride it, right? You have this kind of what I call this process where it's like maybe an unboxing together, then it's some content, and then it could be out the door via your website.
Yeah, so I went from basically a hobbyist to a business person. So now when I buy a bike, I think about how will it do with engagement and views and YouTube, and is this a bike that people would want to see? I've passed up really rad bikes that I just know won't do well.
Sure.
So now when I'm buying bikes, I'm buying like that bike right there. There's only 300 made and only 150 in the US. So that's a very limited bike that should do well. And gold is a very rare color in itself. So I thought, man, now I'm going to pick that bike up and I'm going to build it. Do I love it? Maybe, maybe not. But it's not about that anymore for me. It's more about how's it going to do, and is it going to get good engagement, which in turn is money in my pocket. So that's how I have to think nowadays.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Now, I wanted to pick your brain on this. When people are putting bikes together, sometimes I think people might get overwhelmed, right? I mean, I see like all these bikes and go, wow, man, he dismantled all these bikes and then he moved them and he's going to unpack them, right?
Yeah.
And when you obviously are good at what you do, but talk to us about if someone bought a bike and they were afraid to put it together. It's kind of like reading some instructions, using some grease, spending it on an afternoon. People can do it. Some people can obviously do it quicker. But do you have any kind of process that goes through your mind when you're putting your bike back or assembling it back together?
Yeah, I'm going to give you the biggest secret. And for me, I'm a very visual person. So I don't build a bike with like, oh, I got a part in the mail and I put it on. Okay, now I'm going to go buy this and wait for it and put it on. That's not how I build bikes. I buy every single part that I'm going to need to build a bike. I lay it all out on the table, and I visualize, is that how I want it to look? And maybe not. Maybe I don't want those brakes. Let me go buy another set. And I wait till I have everything I want, and then I'm comfortable with it, and then I put it all together right then and there. So the assembly process itself is probably 30 minutes, unless I'm filming and moving lighting and all that other stuff that you got to do. But the advice I would give somebody is just start with a simple bike. Don't start with like a freestyle bike because there's so much more involved. Mm-hmm. Go grab a simple 20-inch race bike with a single side pull rear brake, something like that that's pretty easy to put together. And if you really don't know how, there's a million YouTube videos out there at RAD BMX Builds to find out how to put bikes together. And if not me, somebody else. The videos are there. But it's a lot of fun. People say, Sean, will you build a bike for me? Build it yourself. You're going to feel so much better about it.
Yep. And there's a man that'll give you the truth, because it's like, hey, if he was in it to, assemble a bike and just make the money, he would be doing it. But again, he's in it for, obviously multiple different reasons, and I think that's super cool. Now, do you swear by one sort of grease? I know a lot of people talk about the white grease and things like that, but do you have any one particular brand that you just swear by?
No. So I do like the clear a lot better.
Uh-huh.
But right now, that's not what I have.
Gotcha.
So on my Linktree link, I have an Amazon store, and I do have that clear in there. That's my favorite, but really any grease. I mean, I just hope you're putting grease on your bearings, because I pull bikes out and they're dry as a bone. So, as long as you're putting grease on there, then, there are some that are better than others. The one I have now is Park Tool, which is a great company. They've been in the bike business a long time. I use a lot of their tools. I'm not advocating for them. I'm not sponsored by them. So do whatever you want. But yeah, there you go. You're showing the link tree there, which, well, if you ever want anything from me, that's the best way to get it right there. So on that link tree, you'll have my website where you find bikes, where you find merch, the Amazon store, Flight BMX. That link will send you over to Flight BMX and give you a huge discount by using RAD BMX. So I got a lot of affiliate links in there that can help you out and save you a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. And I bought some stuff from Flight in the past, and I think, it's so good. I love a brand like Flight that has linked up with someone like yourself, someone that is, U.S. military, right, retired, gave your time to the country. And then also, like you said, David, at the 80s Garage, I think he's done some kind of deals with them as well to kind of highlight, because you look at pages like both of you, what you have, and think about it. I mean, this, the importance of getting your brand out there, and these brands like Flight can certainly, to me, it's a win-win for them.
Flight and I have had a really good relationship. If you clicked on that link, you'll see one of my bikes pop up, and let me see if it pops up. That's my bike right there. That's the 50th anniversary prototype bike. So we have a great relationship, and if it's okay, I can drop some news right now that nobody knows about.
Oh, dude, we appreciate that. Please let us know.
So Flight and I have collaborated, and they're going to start carrying RAD BMX pads on their website that you'll be able to buy. So it'll be the RAD BMX paint splatter logo on a black pad, and you'll be able to buy that very, very soon. I've already approved all the artwork, approved all the pads, so they should be getting uploaded anytime now. I haven't told anybody about that, so.
Thank you for sharing that. Remember Arsenio Hall show?
Yeah.
I'll take it.
That should be coming very soon, hopefully this week even.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and when you were talking there, Sean, you made me think of a buddy of mine that's in Severed Ties that's been in longer than I have, Matt, billet fan out in Arizona.
Yeah,
I think he won one of your bikes, or he won something in the past.
No, he actually needed an old school GT seat post, and I got him one.
Okay.
We met at a Circle K gas station, and I gave him the seat post, and I did try to link up with him when I had the Eddie Fiola yellow Performer, and we couldn't cross paths the whole time I was there. It didn't work out.
Yep.
But super rad guy. I did get to meet him. His truck is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So, man, that thing's sick. But yeah, cool guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude. So shout out to Matt at billetfan, F-A-N, on Instagram. Now, a couple other things I wanted to touch upon before we wrap it up, and I certainly appreciate you taking the time. When you were on before, we talked a little bit about some of the pricing, right? And you and I both know this can be as lucrative of a business model that you have as you want, right?
Right.
But something I've always kind of seen from you, and I know not everything is cheap. Let's be honest. Some of these bikes, as you know, they cost a lot even to put together. But you've still seems like you've still tried to maintain a very fair price point, maybe not hitting the gouging levels that we've seen from some accounts. How important is that to you, Sean?
So for me, like you said, I'm retired. I get a retirement check. So this isn't putting the roof over my head. I still I have a passion for it. Where other people have a passion for padding their pocket, I have a passion for building bikes and getting them to people so they can enjoy them.
Yep.
Now, I'm not doing it for free. I'm probably losing money because I'm not really charging for labor, but the parts are expensive. So when I do sell them, I have to make a little bit of money so I can buy the next bike. But
Sure.
I'm definitely not in the gouging range like you said some people are. And that's really a shame. They're doing it for the money and not doing it for the sport or the passion of the sport. They've lost that. So I appreciate you noticing that. I do sell bikes at radbmxbuilds.com. There are a couple on there now, and you can go get them, and they're at a very fair price. But and new bikes are going to be on the website here real soon. Some got to go if I need to grow, so I'm going to be selling some bikes.
Yeah, and like you said, with the Zeus ZOOZ bikes, you have when I was on your website earlier, if the folks can click here, this is the link in the Instagram bio.
Yep.
It goes to his link tree. But if they go to your website and maybe they forget down the road and they go, hey, I want one of those bikes, they actually get a decent discount, which is awesome that you have. That's another partnership that you have.
Yeah, I think it saves them $150 if they buy a Zeus
Yep.
electric bike, and that company is really amazing. Right here out of the Fort Worth, Texas area, Chris is such a good dude. Their bikes are amazing, and I've had I think 4 of these, and I've customized a lot of them, and they're a really fun bike. A lot of these BMX parts go right onto there, and it's endless what you can do with them. They're really rad.
If you want to show Sean some love, go to his website and buy some merch. Or
Yeah, thanks.
let's say money's tight and you just maybe you say, hey, I can't at the moment. You want to show some love, you go to Instagram and you follow at RAD BMX Builds. You see the ticker across the screen, but also YouTube, right? I was going to say 2 words, but I think technically in their mind it's 1 word. Go to YouTube and follow RAD BMX Builds. If you just stream his content, and you're going to love the content. I think this is the key thing. The pages that I love and I truly follow, if I watch a video, I commit to it. Even if I got to step away and I have to pause it, I'll go back and watch it all the way through. Because, Sean, you know how important it is for those minutes to click by in these videos. Talk to us a little bit about your YouTube channel.
Sure. So I started YouTube coming on 3 years now, I think. I probably have shy of 300 videos.
Yep.
And it's been a grind. I post every single week, sometimes multiple times a week. But the thing with YouTube is, like, I want people to come and watch, but the way you're going to help me is hitting that subscribe button. That's what really helps. Watch the video's duration, even the commercials they play.
Yes.
That helps the content creator get paid to make more videos. So if you like that and you want to support us, just let the video play, hit the like button, leave any comment. I don't care what you want to say, like cool, rad, sucks, thumbs up. Just make sure you like and leave some sort of comment for me. I try to respond to everybody on YouTube the best I can. But, as I'm almost 300 videos deep into it now, it gets kind of hard to comment to everybody. But when a video first comes out, I'm watching the comments for the first 3-4 hours nonstop, making sure that the engagement's good, and I try to reply back to you.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this as well, that I don't know if Sean has it set up, but I recently set up the thanks and the super thanks, and I think this was YouTube trying to kind of, a lot of people use the P word, Patreon, and that became a huge brand. But you can imagine YouTube, under that Google umbrella, they want to also get a little piece of that market. And I truly believe this, that someone like Sean that's given so much time to the country, he's retired. If you go on and you go, hey, you know what, I learned something from your video, or you know what, I got some enjoyment for the time that I'm watching these videos, throw someone a thanks or a super thanks, even if it's a couple bucks, because I can tell you, and Sean, I'm sure can attest to this, when that goes into that bucket, whether it's going to help buy some other stuff to create more content or whatever it's going to go towards, as Sean mentioned a moment ago, it's really going in the pot of, hey, let's fold it back into this brand so I can bring you more content.
That's exactly what I do. And now YouTube's launched a new thing called membership, and you can become a member. And what that does, there's different levels that'll give you different perks for being a member on YouTube now. Now, there is a fee associated with that, depending on the level that you get. But this is going to give you information that you're not going to get through the regular video. So, for example, on Instagram, if you subscribe, not follow, subscribe to the Instagram, it's $5 a month, but I engage with my subscribers on a personal level. And when I'm going to sell a bike, I tell them first. I don't put it on the website. They get first dibs every single time. If you want to buy one of my bikes and that's the way to get it, is become a subscriber on Instagram. I'll let you know what's available. If no one grabs it in 2-3 days, it goes on the website for the rest of the world to try to go ahead and get.
Yeah, and I appreciate you bringing up the Instagram subscription piece, because I think when it first launched, a lot of the tech sites I go on, they were kind of like, oh, this is just, you have to understand, Instagram and social media, it's a big world. There's a lot of different content creators out there. There's some that just go out to cut funny jokes, and I'm sure Sean and I enjoy some of those pages. And then there's other people like Sean that are bringing you a lot of content. We do something a little bit different with some of the magazines and the history. So, to me, if you truly love a brand, and some people go, hey, I have enough shirts, or I never have enough hats, throw $3, $4, $5 with a thanks, super thanks, or just subscribing. And I'm telling you, for the one coffee or whatever that you're not going to buy that month, it's going to go into a good cause, right, Sean?
Absolutely. And one more thing, your audience, your truck guys, I'm a truck guy too.
I know.
I grew up as a mini trucker, then I had an OBS, and I'm that guy too. If you want a bike build for your truck, talk to me. I can do it for you.
Yeah, and I've seen your friend. You told me about him. I think it was at the reunion, Ronnie's show a couple years ago. You built the bike for Corey. And as you know, Corey made the trek from NorCal all the way. I was like, Corey, I said, dude, man, I don't even know you. I love you, man. That's a long ways away. But, man, how good does that bike look in the S10?
Yeah, Corey and I have been friends since, 91 probably. And we both had S10 trucks cruising around South Dakota with Jeff Davey from Devious. It was all of us in Rapid City, South Dakota, rocking these mini trucks. And Corey's son had passed away, and I knew Corey's son when he was born. And that truck is for his son that had passed away. So when he wanted a bike build for that, it was special for both of us. And I built that bike the best I could to go in that truck for Corey's son, Austin. And it was such a moment, man. It really was very touching. And it's just very cool to be able to put one of my bikes in the back of his truck. So it's pretty cool. And his son was serving in the Air Force too when he passed away.
Wow. Well, Corey, if you happen to hear this, rest in peace to your son, Austin. It's one of those things where, I always try to do the emoji flag to Sean, because if you think about, so many people are lost. I know just a week or two ago, there were additional 3 U.S. service members lost. And I think, not to get too down that bunny trail, I do believe that, when we are losing these folks, sometimes it goes unnoticed. And I want people to know how much we appreciate not only the service, but to your, as you've lost friends and things like that. So
absolutely have, yeah.
Much respect. Now, I'm so glad you brought up trucks, because you reciprocate with showing love with the comments and things like that, and I appreciate that. I have this feeling now. Obviously, you got this house, and I do want to talk about it just briefly.
Sure.
But I truly feel like in the near future, maybe if it's 5 years, maybe less, I could see the RAD BMX build kind of the brand expanding with maybe a truck as maybe in some of those reels.
If you only knew how close I came recently, but yes, absolutely. I foresee that happening as well.
Yep.
There's another truck in my future that's going to be a nice tax write-off with a bunch of bikes in the back that I can take to shows.
Oh, yeah. And I think, keep me honest, you went to Ronnie's show a couple years ago. I think he calls it the reunion.
That's right.
And that was that neat, I think it's at a parking garage.
Yeah, his show is huge. It was basically a city block. And this was last year. I think this one is in March. It's coming up.
Gotcha.
And he gave me an area to set up a booth. So Corey brought his son's truck with my bike in the back. I just brought a table and easy up, and I think I brought like 8 bikes. And I didn't go there to sell any. I'm just there to promote, my Instagram and YouTube or whatever. And 2 of those bikes went home with other people because they just had to have them. And I am a business. I can't say no to, everyone's, they say everyone's got a price. When you're ready to accept that price, you're ready. And I sold 2 bikes that day without even trying. So it was nice.
Yeah. And if you think about, kind of chumming the water, if you will, right? With some blood, and you get the sharks kind of going. If you think about the place you were at, you think about the trucks and the enthusiasts and stuff. That's like a prime market for people. The hair sticking up on their neck, saying, "OMG, man, I gotta have this," and that's super cool, man.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of bikes in the beds of trucks now. I've been going to a few shows, and It's not my audience, so I'm not making YouTube videos.
Sure.
I still go to truck shows, and
I
I'm
know.
seeing bikes in the back of these trucks, and I'm like, that one's okay. You could do better, you know?
Yeah.
Or dang, that one's really sick. That's a nice bike. That looks right with the truck. I just sold a chrome and red Skyway to a guy up in Waxahachie, which is south of Dallas.
Yes.
That is a perfect match for his, what was it? Probably late 60s, early 70s Ford. And it just looks sick in that truck. And he bought it just to put in the bed of the truck to bring the shows. So pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's really a perfect addition, and it's cool that we've all kind of gotten to this age where, you know, people can spend in different ways, but I truly feel like we're tapping into a little bit of our youth. And at the end of the day, like you said earlier, you know, if you've got the extra funds, you know, and obviously things have increased, I get it. You know, some people can't afford a regular bike, but listen, I go on eBay a lot, pretty much every day. Don't tell anyone.
Same.
and I look at stuff and I go, you know, I know some people kind of seem down and out that they don't have a bike, but I was like, man, like I saw one the other day, you know, looking at some of the Mongoose stuff I love, and I go, you know, if you put your pennies together, you could get a Survivor bike on there if you want to throw it in. So, you know, to your point, you know, the high side of it, you know, the collecting side of it. I do think it's not so far out of reach that just, you know, the average Joe can't get in the sport.
Yeah, you know, it's funny you brought up your Mongoose. I bought an 85 Mongoose Californian today on eBay.
I saw it right before I got on with you.
It's so clean, too. And you can still get them. They're okay priced. So here's a great example. This, hold on, backwards. This pink bike behind me is a 91 GT Performer. When I started out building bikes again, I started out building a 91 GT Performer. And I found a frame and fork on eBay for $60. This frame and fork, the pink bike, cost me $1,000.
Yep.
So the cost has gone through the roof. So when people are going, oh man, I know that's $2,000 for a complete bike. It probably cost me $1,600 just in parts and powder coat and all that to put it together. So, and God knows how many hours of research and building it took to make that bike. So, you know, I'm not gouging people. I'm not out there selling Performers for $9,500 like some people are. That's to me, that's just ludicrous. These bikes are not worth that much. But, you know, if they're getting it, whatever. I'm not going to be that guy. I like return customers. I don't like a one-time thing and then move on down the road.
Yeah, you really preached that the last time you were on as well. And, you know, I thought this was kind of a neat thing. Like, over the course of time, I've seen more and more celebrity, like, for instance, this is going back like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, Alicia Keys, you know, great singer, you know, beautiful woman. She had a photo. I think it was like her husband had a freestyle bike, and she was sitting on it, and she was like, you know, throwing up, you know, the RAD sign and stuff, and
Yeah.
and it was cool. And then recently, I even saw, of all people, now I know some people love him, some people hate him. I think he's a decent artist, but Rick Ross, obviously, you know, there's a lot of controversy there with him kind of taking a persona of the real Rick Ross. But he was the other day, his big belly, he was sitting on a BMX bike with like Ferraris and stuff in the background. So it's like, it's not even just one bloodline of folks that love these bikes. It really does hit the nostalgia, I think, on a worldwide basis.
Yeah, it's becoming almost an essential thing for your man cave. Like Travis Barker has a collection of bikes. Slash likes BMX bikes. Like some of these people you would have no idea. Go check them out. You'll see Slash sitting on a Haro Master. You'll see a CW Phase 1 on the wall inside Travis Barker's little drum lab. It is nuts. So many famous people into it, so many regular dudes that are into it. And, you know, people just want that childhood bike back, and that's what it's all about. The motto of my company is building memories, because it's the memories that fuel my motivation to build these bikes. I've pretty much built every single bike every friend I had, you know, rode back in the day. So my collection's complete in my mind. Now I'm just building for fun and for whatever. I've kind of built every bike I wanted to build. Now I'm just building for fun.
Yeah, that's how you kind of know that you hit the next level. And ironically, today we're recording on February 5th. Now, yesterday I did a 2-4 post, which was supposed to be like 22s in the front, 24s in the back. And I don't know how many people got that. But today I was at work and I was scrolling through some of my old images. And of course, I have the Karate Kid 24, which was like TWOFOUR, I think. And I have that old ad like many of us have saved, and I thought, damn it, I should have posted that yesterday. What was I thinking?
The 24-inch bikes.
Yeah. Now, one of the last questions I have for you is, like, if money was no object, or you could just wave a magic wand for 2024, and whether it's your favorite company or a company, that you just always looked up to, what's the one thing that you think from a BMX freestyle world that if it just came out, whether it's a bike or a product, that would really, for you, Sean, just go, man, it finally happened? Is there any one kind of grail out there?
That's an excellent question. If I could do one thing that I haven't done yet, that would be to advise some of these bigger companies like Haro or GT, get on their design board and help them actually execute a retro BMX bike the way it should be, in my opinion, because they're just missing the mark. For me, that would be full circle. That would be my big contribution to the industry. But if I could have one bike, it would probably be, and I had one and I sold it, and I kind of hate myself for it, probably the Eddie Fiola World Tour.
Got
if
it.
you watch the movie RAD, which I know you have,
yep,
he's riding a blue Performer with white discs on it in that movie.
Yes. Yep.
That bike is only, I mean, try finding a reproduction of that bike. Nobody builds that bike. They always buy the Crew Jones bike and try to do that reproduction from the movie. I would like to build one of those and have Eddie sign it. I think that's a really rad bike. That blue Performer with the white discs on it was pretty awesome, and nobody notices it. They just they don't pay attention to it.
Yeah, there was a guy years ago, I forget if it was David. David might have one, but there was someone in the old, I know the BMX, the main page from back in the day, I'm drawing a blank on it. It was one of the BMX forums that a lot of people were on. There was someone that had found a Murray, which was the one I think at the 7-Eleven in the film, and it still had the hanging tags and stuff on it, and they bought it for like, it seemed like, I mean, by today's standards, it was like several $100s. And I was like, how cool. There was one other story that I need to go back and look at some of the facts, but I saved the photos years ago. I forget if we talked about this. There was a guy doing a tour at Chip Foose's shop in the greater Balboa. I forget that one main area where they have all their shops at down there. Huntington Beach. Thank you. It came to me. It. So Huntington Beach, so imagine there's a guy from the UK there, and they win and they do these tours, and obviously they can't normally interact with Chip Foose and the team. Well, the guy sees a bike hanging, and he asks part of the staff, hey, I got a question. Well, they ended up bringing Chip Foose over, and Chip's like, yeah, that was my bike when I was younger. That was one of my bikes. And the guy goes, well, would you sell it? And Chip goes, yeah, I would sell it. So he climbs up, he gets the bike down, and then he ended up taking photos, and Chip signed it. And I think the guy was on vacation, or as they call on holiday, right, from overseas. Right. But I thought to myself, like, how cool is that? Like, a lot of people would say, man, why would you sell that? It's part of your childhood. But I've always heard Chip Foose is a great guy.
Chip, I've always wanted to meet him because I know he's also a BMX guy.
Yeah.
And I just want to talk BMX with him. I'm sure everyone that meets him wants to talk cars with him.
Sure.
I want to talk BMX with him. And he might be into that. Like there's oh gosh, I'm gonna sound like an idiot here. The guy that owns Cane's Raising Cane's Chicken.
Oh right.
Mr. Graves is his last name. I can't remember his first name for some reason. He follows my page, and I reached out to him, and I was like, hey, I can do a Raising Cane's. I don't want to do like a theme bike, right? But I can build a bike for you. His personal assistant reached out to me before Christmas and said, hey, every year he gets a bike for Christmas, an old school BMX bike.
Wow.
And asked if I had anything available at that time that they could buy for me to give to him. And I didn't, but I did say I would love to do some sort of collaboration or build for him. There you
go.
And maybe if not that, then provide him next year's Christmas bike. So we're working on that. I'm a big fan of Raising Cane's. I mean, why not, right? So
that's awesome.
I think that would be kind of fun. I had no idea the dude followed my page. And when I found out he did, I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. He's a big BMX guy, just like Chip Foose and all these other people. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. I wanted to share this photo before I forgot. This is at September 25th, Newport Beach, Balboa Peninsula.
Yeah.
And this was when Sean and I linked up. I was out there for the Raddies event. Yeah, you made me think of something a moment ago, and when you just think about how the roots of this, when BMX really gained steam in the 70s, a lot of people probably said, I'm sure a lot of parents were like, oh, this is going to be a fad, much like mini trucks and things like that. So to me, it's really cool that it's went this far. And it's also a good thing because, kids out on bikes and doing the right thing or exercising, we look back at our childhood and we go, wow, we really did grow up in a great era.
The best era.
Yeah.
Not just a great era, hands down the best era. There's no other way about it. The arcades, the bowling alleys, the BMX, the skateboarding, all the pioneers that came from that era, Tony Hawk, Steve Caballero. I mean, you can go on and on and on. We had the best generation and always will have the best generation.
Yeah, I agree. And if you think about what the Duffer Brothers created with their Netflix series, Stranger Things, there's so much nostalgia built in there. Yeah. And then I also wanted to say, David at the 80s Garage, some of the stuff that he's posted, and I've always been a fan. Like, I've saved a bunch of stuff from, like, YouTube. He's posted some of the similar stuff. We're all, like, similar mindset. But, like, if you think about Police Academy, when Tony Hawk and Paul Peralta team was there, yeah. And you look back to that era and people forget, like, the Air Jordan 1, a lot of skaters wore it back then. You think back to that era, a lot of skaters were wearing the Air Jordan 1s and things like that, and the Air Jordans are still big, and you think about all this cool stuff, and like you said, I couldn't have said it better. We truly grew up in a great era. The last thing I do want to mention is the piggyback off what you said earlier. If there's anybody out there, and I know you have inroads with Damien, and Damien's good friends with Bob Harrow and stuff. Certainly, bring Sean on board, because I'm telling you, here's the number one bike that really. I just thought to myself, love Bill Allen, great guy. He really embraces, as you know, the Rad Crew Jones character. But I was trying to find it a moment ago. A few years ago, it might have been a year and a half, 2 years ago, a company put out a Crew Jones 24, 28 type inch bike. And it just, Sean, it just didn't hit the mark. I forget if we talked about that before. And I just looked at it and go, I was trying to muster up, how to buy the bike. And I just was like, it was like an afterthought, like, okay, we'll call it the Crew Jones.
It was GT, and it was a 29-inch bike. It was red.
There
said
you go.
RAD all over.
Yeah, you're right. Yep, good memory.
Again, big company that's done great bikes in the past is just missing the mark today with these bikes. Yeah.
Yeah, so get with Sean. Sean, it's RAD BMX Builds. You guys have seen the ticker throughout this episode. Again, if nothing else, go out, tell a friend, follow at RAD BMX Builds. Of course, the underscore's in there. And on YouTube. I know some of us consume YouTube more than others. I'm on it every night before I go to bed, and I love it. So I definitely appreciate Sean, any last shout-outs or anything you want to mention?
Man, I got so many people I could shout out. It'd be another hour. I just want to thank literally everybody that follows and subscribes to my accounts. I mean, you guys keep me doing this every single day. So without you, I'd just be a guy in the dark in the garage building bikes with no sort of platform to share it with. And I'm just glad that I can share this and bring these bikes back to life and really get those memories going for people. That's really what makes me happy. So thanks for following. Thanks for subscribing. And if you can support it by buying merch, I appreciate that too.
Yeah, for sure. If there's one thing I learned by watching the Knight Rider Historian, Sean, one man can make a difference.
Awesome.